Got quite a few of them done. Let me get what's left of my foam board here to sit this on so I can roll it to its side. I'm going to do the side frames too. There's that little funky spot there. And this stuff works great for touch up too, for the gray ones anyway. This metallic, you could really probably paint. You could. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. You could probably paint this metallic paint anywhere you wanted to, like even on the yellow. If you wanted to make a spot where it looked like the paint was coming off or something to that effect, if you were wanting to weather one. I love this metallic paint. It's like I forget what they call it. I think it's called a brushed aluminum, and then I just mix it with some black paint, and it works really well. But I do my fans, my cooling fans on top, and then I do the vents. And it just gives it's not dramatic by any means, but it does give it a little bit of a difference. It makes it pop just a little bit. Move that one over a little bit. There's those. I debated on how I wanted to do the side frames. If y'all remember one of the live streams I did, I had some trouble with this locomotive clicking and popping, and it took some turning around and flipping of wheels to get it to look good and work right. I'm thinking about taking the body off to do the rest of this. Get my screwdriver here. If I take the body off, it might be easier. Well, if I don't stick my fingers in the paint, it'll be easier to work on the body itself, on the frame, without worrying about getting extra paint in the spots that I don't want it. If I get this one, if I remember right, it was easier, yeah, just to pop it right here. Put that one in there. And that one in here. It should all come up. And if I notice, what's going on, AHM guy? There we go. Got that side popped. This is actually, just for your own information, this is a DD35. I can't remember all of the specifics as to what made the difference, but come on, I'm gonna turn her around. Yep, you're close. I thought it was a DD42, but I did some research, and this is a DD35. They made both, and I believe this was the older model, and then they came out with that DD40, and then the DD40X, I think, is what the next one was. And I don't think any of these even exist anymore. There we go. There's the back one there, and then I got to do the front one here. And I'm just painting the shell and working on painting the side frames. I want to change the side frame colors. I've already got the vents on top done. And I'm just using a metallic, what like a brushed aluminum paint. I've looked at some of those, and actually I put a bid in on one today. I don't know if I'll get it or not, and it's an older one. I haven't really looked into the fancy ones because I'm not a big fan of buying things new just because everything's so expensive. And people are pretty proud of the steam engines. But what I want to do is I would like to find some used that I can start working on and fixing up and making nice. That's kind of where I want to go with that. You see this one, I would have thought would have had two motors, and it's set up for two. It's even, it's got the strip in it and everything, but this one just has one. I thought it was kind of odd, but it probably runs better. It does, it's not near as powerful for sure, but it probably runs better just with one instead of worrying about trying to pick up from both ends. Because then one motor trying to drive the other might drag the other if they're not both running perfectly. So, and if you look here, that commutator looks almost new. This thing hasn't been run hardly at all. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start painting this. I'm going to paint just this here and then the belly of it. But before I do the belly, I think I'm going to do the side frames. I think the side frames are going to be easier to paint before doing that. Let me pull up my comments here. They keep disappearing on me. Live chat. AHM Dreyfus Hudson for only $80. Just needed a new motor. Huh. That's interesting. The one I was looking at was a Chessie Systems locomotive. I think it was I probably am going to say it wrong, but I think it was a 682. I think that's what that was. Or no, a 282 maybe. I can't remember. But anyway, I put a bid in on it. We're going to see if I can get it. It actually it was on Poshmark. So if I can get that one, I'll do a video on it. I've always wanted one of the real pretty Chessie Systems locomotives, and then it turned out this was an AHM. It wasn't even a Bachmann, which, because the Bachmanns kind of turn into what I would call a decorative piece, because they're not very reliable. But yeah, you see I use these little bitty paint brushes. I've already wiped this one down pretty good before I got started, and I'm just going to do the outside of the side frames and the ends of them, so you can see so that you only see that going down the track. So that's what I'm focused on. And I've had these apart before, and I'm just kind of doing these like I did the other two Union Pacific locomotives I have, and just painting them while they're on it. And I'm pretty good at these. Going to be building a layout soon. Might get some of the Riveros and AHM steamers. Right on, man. If you do, put up some videos. Find me on TikTok if you're not already following me on there. Share them videos with me. I'd like to see that. I like to see everybody's layouts. Gives me ideas for stuff I can do in the future too. I have a layout. I don't even call it a layout. It's a table with track, and it's just something I haven't had time to actually get started on, but I sit down in the evening and I tinker with this stuff. So it's not like I couldn't be doing it, but it just excites me more working on these and playing with them than it does building my layout. That, and I've got a lot of other stuff going on, and the room that I'm working in isn't going to be a permanent place for it. So let's see here. Yeah, you can see this turns out really nice. It's a little darker than it looks like here in the light, and it'll dry a little darker, but it's a metallic. I think it's called brushed aluminum is what the spray can said, and I just spray it into a cup, and then I add some black paint to it and stir it, and it ends up turning out pretty nice. Get back here. And I've had pretty good luck doing them this way, and not getting the paint on the wheels themselves. But yeah, you can see just how quick this is coming along, and I've got me a larger brush too, so when I do the fuel tank, it'll go a little quicker. Oh yeah, that's looking pretty nice. There we go. And I like these little brushes. You can get these from Hobby Lobby. I think for gonna be I'd like to see one of those in a Burlington route paint scheme. Yeah, I saw one. I think I saw one for sale on eBay. Um, and I'm cheap. I've always have been. I think they wanted $70 or $80 for it, but it was kind of beat up and rough. And this one here, I got lucky and got for 35 bucks. Um, and I've just been kind of doctoring and working on it and making it nice. But it did run when I got it. It just had a problem with the gears clicking. And what had happened was, and somebody had helped me on here figure it out, but the gears on the wheels were in there backwards. And on the gears on the wheels anyway. And I just flipped the wheels over and it fixed it. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. But yeah, you can see the difference here. So we got one side and we got the other side, and I definitely like the gray or that metal look over the black. So we're gonna get started on this side here, and then hopefully these dry. I'm gonna do a little more work on the side of the body here while these dry, and then I can turn it around and tilt it back and try to work on the other side. I'm trying to do this where it's easy to see. Kind of see how I'm doing it a little at a time here. And believe it or not, this little brush holds a ton of paint. They don't last very long. They're what I call a throwaway brush, but they do really well for what I'm doing here. And I'm about ready to lose this one. I can tell because the plastic pin on the end of it is starting to rub the metal more than the brush itself is, because it's like a little sock they put over them. There it goes. I recently picked up a very odd Mantua steamer. It's a 480 in the Central Pacific paint scheme. Huh. Well, that's kind of cool. I'm trying to picture what that looks like. I never was real good. And if you'll notice, just about everything I have is diesel. I'm not very good at remembering how that worked. I know the middle numbers are the drive numbers, how many drive wheels it has, but I can't remember how the other two worked. If it was because if it's like 482, so it'd be 4 dead ones on the front, 8 drives in the center, and 2 under the cab. I can't remember how that works. I haven't been real big in the steamers yet, mainly because they're expensive. I'm gonna end up having to replace this brush here in a second. It's just not wanting to stay where I want it to. I almost think I need to pull the little socks off of these and put some, I don't know. I don't know if the glue would work or not, but put some kind of glue or something on there, try to hold the sock on the inside so it doesn't slide off the end of my Q-tip, I guess is what I would call it, off the end of my little plastic stick that it sits on. Because eventually the sock will come off and then it wants to make a mess or get it on things I don't want to get it on. There's that one. I'm going to go ahead and grab another one because that one's already acting up. That first one I had worked really well. It might just be a bad brush. I don't know. But let's see here. Let me get it. There it is. But yeah, it's just a little bitty deal. There it goes. And that one absorbed that up pretty quick compared to the last one. Yeah, the original box has the plastic still holding it, and it's 32 bucks. Sadly, has a seized drive. Yeah, when you buy things like that, sometimes it's just bad luck. you really don't know what you're getting into. And that's why I kind of like to get my stuff. If I'm getting something used, I want to get the best possible price, because yeah, there's times it turns out it is a good running locomotive, but then there's other times that you got something that's good for nothing but parts. Um, and I'm very adamant on asking what before I purchase anything, does it run or not? And if they say untested, then I treat it as non-running, because you're taking a gamble. But there are some things too that are worth their money even when they don't run. I had that conversation with a guy the other day. I got a how's that name pronounced? It's Japanese brass locomotive. Tishindo, I think is how it's said. I can't remember. I always butcher that name, but it's an all brass A and B unit Great Northern uh, locomotive, and I got it for $35. And that's what I keep being told. Um, I am assuming you're talking about what I'm talking about here. That it's worth it. That brass locomotive is worth a ton of money. And I only paid $35 for it. I got a really good deal on it. And the guy said it didn't run well. Well, I just took it and took it apart and cleaned it up. And I mean, it had 50 years worth of dust packed in it. I mean, it was ridiculous how much garbage was in it. And I just cleaned it all up real good, put some extra oil and grease in it. And oh yeah, the 480. Okay. Um, and it it took off, lit up the whole 9 yards. So I was pretty tickled to death with that. I don't know a whole lot about the steamers as far as rarity. I just kind of go off of what I find and what I like, and I'm learning kind of as I go. I've always been a huge fan of the diesel stuff. I do like the steam stuff. It's just right, like I said, it's kind of out of my price range. But um, otherwise, yeah, it's definitely stuff I'd like to get into. I have a couple little things sitting around. I have I have this one here that I cannot get for the life of me uh, from walking when it's going down the tracks. And you would think that'd be for wheels being out of quarter, but they're not. They're exactly where they're supposed to be on both sides. And what's happened is the motor in the top um, is not connecting. The worm gear isn't connecting with the top gears correctly. And I've tried a few different things to try to get it to go, and all it wants to do is walk. So I kind of just set it to the side for now. It had me a little bit frustrated, and decided to kind of just wait it out and see if I can't try something later on and it actually work. Yeah, yeah. Where is the? Yeah, here's the. There's the top for it there. It was nothing super super special, but it does work fairly well. And if I remember right, maybe it's not this one. I have another one like this that got all the plastic is all warped right here because I guess the motor got hot. But it's kind of hard to tell, especially if you go ahead and paint them up a little bit. Then it's really hard to tell. But let's see here. I got both of those sides done, and they look like they've dried plenty enough. If I have to retouch them up, I can. But I'm going to turn this around and go hit the other side of these uh, side frames here. Go ahead and try to knock these out. I'll tip it over just enough, and I can work on it, because the bottoms of them side frames will get rubbed off anyway. But I actually have I have something that ain't super super detailed or anything. It's a Marx locomotive from the 60s. That's pretty cool. It's an old Union Pacific locomotive, and I've got A, but I learned here recently that they made a B for it, and I'd like to find that. I just haven't found one yet because they're hard to find. Um, but I'm looking for the B uh, unit for it. It's weird because it's Union Pacific, but it's almost orange in color. The plastic is, which back then they were looking for something that would scoot around the track for the kids. They weren't necessarily looking for a ton of detail to go into it. But um, it's pretty neat, and I was just kind of impressed that something that's that old and what looks to me anyway to be all original um, can still, actually run. All I did was like I do with anything else. I add a little bit of oil, clean it up, blow all the cobwebs out of it, and let it get after it. And after about 3 or 4 trips around the track, it did really really well. Oh, for sure, yeah. Um, I like those. I think S&T Mainline had done one at one point. It looked like a it looked like a flat car that had like that would have a bobber caboose on it for a like an office, and it was made for repairs on locomotives like out on the tracks or whatever out in the field. But that's what it looked like, but it wasn't. It was some kind of a locomotive. Um, and it was a handmade. It was all made of wood, and it was handmade from, I forget when he said, the 40s or 50s, I think. It was pretty neat. Just about got this side done. I did pretty good last night. Last night I was working on those other two locomotives, and my eyes didn't dry out at all. But man, tonight I'm not doing so well. They're starting to get a little fuzzy. I wear contacts, and okay, this is gonna get done though. We'll get this done. I get that gray paint finished. It's gonna make this look all the better. There we go. This is something I look at and it irritates me. I've been dying to do it for I don't know how long, and I finally buckled down and did it. I found an old box full of Varney Tinshoto. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier, and I couldn't get the word out. Tinshoto. Uh, HO, Marks, Hobbyline, Atlas, and Athearn Blue Band made stuff. That is cool. I've always, every once in a while, I get lucky and stumble onto somebody that's got a little bit of something they're offloading for a good deal, but never anything like that. That's crazy. Now, where I live too, I think is part of the problem because around here, there's not a lot of people that do this hobby. Lots of people are busy driving tractors and running farms to be messing with this stuff. There's another one. Cool. Okay, that one's done up, and that one actually is already really starting to dry. I'm going to scoot this over. Here we go. That way I can work on this one here. It almost looked like it sometimes somebody tried to modify this frame, but it's hard to see whether that was actually the case or not, or if that's just a rough edge the way that was made. I can't quite tell how old this one is. I know it's an Athearn blue box, but I don't know what the exact age is on it. And I think this motor and flywheels here is new. I don't think that was originally on this. Now, I don't think that it may have not had flywheels at all. It probably had metal flywheels, but I don't think that this motor actually went with this locomotive at one point. I think somebody's done some switching, which I mean, that's fine with me because that makes it work all the much better. go. Yeah, these are turning out good. These are going to look awesome. Way better than that flat black. It'll stand out a little better. I was a hobby store for 25 bucks being sold. It really is a junk lot. And see, and that's my problem. They don't have a lot of hobby stores around here. I don't see a lot of Trainline stuff. If I remember right, Trainline's Walther's brand. Um, I think I have one Walther's locomotive. No, I take that back. I have three. I have a dummy, a powered, and a powered SD40-2. And then I have one sitting back there that I cannot find side frames for. That I'm going to put it's not an S9, a GP9 shell on from an Athearn. I'm going to modify the shell so it'll fit on the Walther's body. But yeah, I don't see a ton of Trainline stuff at all. It's not that I don't want to maybe get my hands on some in the future. I just haven't come across the right deals for them. Good luck, bad luck, right, long, wrong, or otherwise. Yeah, I still got enough paint in there to go ahead and paint that. I just have to decide how to go about that. Because I want these to dry. I don't want them to turn this around. I don't want it to chip. Oh, okay, here we go. I think I misread is what I did. Hobby line. I might have even said hobby line, but I was thinking train line. Um, yeah, that made rolling stock kits and locomotive train sets from the 50s, 40s to the 60s. Okay, see, I'm something new already. That was part of the reason why I made the channel to begin with. I don't mind learning something from time to time. Yeah, I guess I haven't. The train hobby line stuff. I guess I haven't seen much of that. I see a spot here I missed on. There we go. Turn that this way. Get a little more paint. Yep, that was my bad. I misspoke there. I for whatever reason I thought train line, not hobby line. And if that's the case, I would be very interested if I can find some, just to pick a couple up to make for myself. That'd be pretty cool. I don't mind putting together, car kits, and even if I could find some locomotives that come in pieces, I don't mind putting them together just to learn how to work. Kind of like this one here, the way the gearbox worked. This was something I don't have any other 8-axle diesels, and it was interesting working with that gearbox and figuring out how all the gears, mesh together. I did enjoy that. I do want to hit another train show here soon. I just haven't had anything here local, especially during the summer that was going to end up being in the area. I don't really care to drive more than an hour to go see one. I think the furthest I've went is like Dupont, Illinois, and I live out towards. I live about 80 miles south of St. Louis, so I went to Dupont, Illinois to go see a train show, and that was pretty cool. I got some pretty good deals there. Lots of older fellers that was getting rid of some stuff, and was able to pick up a few things. I picked up a what was it? A Norfolk and Western GP7 or GP9 that was in really good shape. Start right here. They made a Berkshire kit you can kit bash and make into a powered locomotive. You can find those for $24. Hobbyline power locomotive. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, like you said, when they're that old, they're definitely, depending on what the model is, probably going to bring some good money. That's for sure. I almost need to bring this closer. Okay, here we go. Working around the phone's a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to get it figured out here. And my whole goal here, it doesn't have to be perfect at the top. It just has to be uh, to where you can't see the black when you put the shell on. And then paint the sides of the fuel tanks, because naturally it's going to get filthy dirty underneath. If it was anything real, you'd find a nice Hobby Line powered switcher that was weathered for 75 bucks. Uh, I have a hard time buying switchers. I found a switcher the other day that I almost bought it. It was an Athearn um, uh, switcher. I can't remember what model it was, SW something or other. Um, and they had custom painted it and it had my name on it. And I was like, that's okay, that's cool. And if it wasn't for wanting $60, I probably would have done it. If it would have been, I don't know, 30 bucks with shipping, I probably would have just dropped what I was doing and gone ahead and paid for it. But I wasn't looking to pay that kind of money for it. And this actually is going on rather nice. I like this little brush. And this is just a brush I got at an auction. It was in a box of stuff um, where I'm going to say here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the other side so I can slip the shell back on. And then the paint will be covered up, and then I can work on the bottom holding the body, or sitting the body on my foam wherever I put my little foam pad. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can turn this around here and paint the other side. Whoa, here we go. Maybe, possibly, if I don't turn the whole thing. Definitely interests me. It's something I would like to look at. That's for sure. Um, Naturally, I like to see that kind of stuff in person, um, and kind of make my own judgment calls. Before you actually go dive into it. But yeah, absolutely. That's the one thing though I've realized about being on. I was thinking about that. It gets quiet here sometimes when I'm working. Um, Whenever you're doing this, uh, YouTube doesn't allow you to like play music and stuff because of copyright, which I get it. But if you're on TikTok and you're just playing music in the background, they don't care. And I'd love to have something playing in the background while I'm doing this, but I'm kind of just stuck doing it like this. Make sure I didn't miss a chat. Yep. Check that periodically and make sure I don't miss anything. There it is. Okay. Yep, this is going to look pretty good when I get finished here. I'm going to like this way better than all that black. I never was a fan of everything on it being black, on the underbody anyway. Some of them you don't get a choice, like your Burlington Northern. Um, they don't tend to It's green and black. That's it, with white accents like on the nose where the chevrons are, or on the handrails for safety. But that's really about it. Let's see here. All right, there's that. I'm going to go ahead and put the body back on to cover that paint, and hopefully then I can turn it over. I'm going to lay it on this foam pad so I can paint the belly of it. This should just pop back on here. I'm just trying to be careful not to rub the paint raw. Okay. I'm going to roll her over. We're going to do the belly. Okay, here we go. Yep. And that stuff on top's dried. Let me pick this up. I don't want to lay it on its side, but I think, can I get this to stand up back where I want it? Maybe. Possibly. Okay, that makes me nervous. Let me put this here so it's got something to roll up against. Okay, let me fix my photo. There we go. That'll do it. Now I can hold it up with one hand and paint with the other. Get this out of the way, because I cannot stand all that black. That drives me nuts. And I could have probably completely disassembled the locomotive and maybe sprayed the sprayed the whole frame maybe, but I just didn't feel like doing it, to be honest. I got this cheap enough, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job on it, that I just want to paint it like this. And this turns out pretty good. I did 2 other locomotives the same way when I did the bellies on them, or I did the side frames, and they turned out pretty nice. So we're just gonna lay this in best I can here. I feel like maybe I'm talking a little like Bob Ross, but I'll try to lay this in the best I can. And after I get this belly painted, and I can let you see kind of what it looks like afterward, I'm going to call it an evening, because my eyes have about had it today. Guess I should have painted just a little more of that fuel tank. It'd have made my life a little easier, but it's going on okay. That's not too bad. Do you like the blue gooses? If I knew what you were talking about, I might be able to give you a better idea. Blue goose. Um, that's something I haven't heard yet. This is going to look good when it dries. It's a little bit touch and go. It looks a little thin, like you can see spots through it, but I think it's just the uneven. It's drying a little uneven, I think is what it is. Got that. Okay. Let's turn it around and see what we got going here on the other side. We're going to do it like this. Try not to touch that paint. Yep, I ain't got much left to do. Just that little spot there. And that's going to look great when it dries. Look good on that other locomotive. I've painted 2 other Union Pacifics just the same way, and it looks kind of, doesn't look so great when it's drying, but after it finally cures, this metallic color looks awesome. You can see how well it looks already on the side frames. Let me slide this back and flip this over, and I'll show you the other ones I'm working on. The handrails are next on this one. But yeah, here, let's see here. Get this out of the way. Slide this back a little. Yeah, they're not hard. The side frames aren't hardly even sticky anymore, but that looks way better than that black, hands down. All black going to that. And that's just, where's my can? There it is. That's just this Krylon metallic paint. Where is it there? Yeah, dull aluminum. And I use Rust-Oleum flat black enamel, and I mix them. And it doesn't look like it mixes, but it does. It gets darker, and then you can paint up that way. And you see I got the tops of the vents. I am going to do handrails eventually. This side's perfect, but I got missing spots on the other side, and the back's perfect too, and I'm missing a spot on the front. So once I get that done, that's going to look awesome. And then I can paint them. I can paint them the right color. Oh, right on, AHM. Thank you. The Great Moglet. Interesting name. What's going on? But yeah, that's this one. This one here, I've been waiting forever. Let's see if I can get it to come into focus. Yep. But I painted side frames on this one. Painted the vents on top, and then the fans on top. I don't have any handrails at all for this one yet. This one actually, I think this was a ready to roll model from Athearn, because of the way the shell mounts to the body. It doesn't mount on the sides of the frame. It mounts through the weight on the bottom, or the fuel tank on the bottom, if you want to be technical. So I think this is a ready to roll set one, but I got this in a box for like $35 with a bunch of other stuff. And then, including with this was a Atlas turntable. Thanks, man. I'm going to pull this one out here too. This one here, I painted up last night. I used a can of Rust-Oleum paint and painted the side frames. The side frames originally were like a chrome stainless color. I think that the side frames are actually stainless. And I just put a coat of paint on those, and then painted the fuel tank because it was black. And if you see here, I think I'm going to pop this body off and paint this spot here up later on, right under here. But when you're running it down the track, you can't hardly see it for the shadow it projects off the walkways. This one didn't have handrails on it, and I've got some obnoxiously long couplers on it because that's all I've got at the moment. I need to buy some more, but that one actually pulls really well around the track too. My main goal this evening was to get this one was finished, because I see I did the vents too, with that the same metallic paint I did the fuel tanks with. But I did the vents, and so these two smaller ones are done. And then I just got to work on handrails on this, and when I say these are done, I got to put handrails on them, but it's either near here nor there. It is ridiculously expensive buying handrail parts to put these together, so I got to do it a little bit at a time. The last bout of stanchions I bought, I've got like enough to do 2 locomotives, and it was like $15 or $16. And when you're getting locomotives for 5, 10, 15 bucks a piece to justify doing more to them than everything I can to make them look nice as they are. I love handrails. I've actually got a Conrail I'll show you. Let me scoot that over and that one over. I've got a Conrail and I have an Illinois Central Gulf that look really nice. This Illinois Central Gulf actually didn't come to me at all. I pieced it together from multiple other locomotives, but this is the Illinois Central Gulf. And what I did here was I had the shell I found at an antique mall. The body I found I picked it up in a lot. It was just a body and it was missing the side frames all the way around. I ordered the side frames from Athearn, which was a nightmare. It took me 6 months to get them. And the side frames, what I did to get that kind of that metal to show through where people would step there, I painted all of them in just that dull aluminum metallic and then painted them back over again with a gloss, and then just took a pencil eraser and rubbed in spots so that the gray would show through. But yeah, I did the handrails, painted them black, and then did the safety parts on the front of them. I painted the vents on top. And then this one did have the Horncook couplers already on it. So that one was set up already and looks really nice. The only thing I didn't do was paint those side vents, and I think I'm actually going to do it now that I got it in here. And now this one, this I believe is, yeah, it's an SD45, same as the other one. This was an Athearn blue box. It came, I went to a train show and picked it up for 22 bucks. It was brand new, still didn't have, it came with the handrails and everything in the box. The guy said he didn't know if it worked or not, and I said, well, I'll give it a shot. And 22 bucks, I picked this one up. Man, I got a fly in here that is driving me up the wall. Okay, and then see, I painted the top there too, and then did the handrails. Let's see here. Where's my comment? Like chat. The Atlas turntable it works. I've fed power into it. It actually had a hand crank option on it, which is pretty neat. Let me see here. Let me get this off here. I'll take my Illinois Central Gulf in there and I'll show you. See, this is all I've got for a train table right now. It ain't perfect, but it works. I spend more time detailing than I do anything else, but I would put that on there, and then under here, I don't know if I can get that to pop off or not, but there's a motor in here, and all I did was run a couple hot wires to it, and it turns. It's real basic. This actually was made, I've got the original box. The original box is this box here. It's from like 1975. And it just come in a box of stuff that I had picked up. Came with the, like I said, it come with the electric motor, the turntable, the little hand wheel if you want to just hand crank instead of feed power to it. And there was something else. I think it came with some extra little pieces like these. See, I've got bins of stuff that I've been robbing parts, bits of this, bits of that out of to put different things together. And then if you haven't seen, that's the onslaught of stuff I have that I've been working on a little at a time. These here, these 2-pin centrals here, I custom made from Santa Fe's. They're cheap Bachmann pancake motor locomotives, but I custom painted and did those. I custom painted these two. This one I just painted handrails and stuff on. That's an Athearn I picked up. Let's see here. Here's the all brass Great Northern in the B unit. I have, let's see here, steam. I have two, technically I got two steamers. I've got this little one up here. It's a Lifelike Pennsylvania, and it's just an 040. That one I can remember. And then I have the one in the other room that I think is what they call an 060. Otherwise, I don't have any other ones. And then down here is kind of what my little Tyco collection. I've got a lot of those C430s, and then I got a few of the C630s, and then I have the Delaware and Hudson one that's really hard to, well, I say it's really hard to find. It's rare. It's not super rare. Let's see here. I was looking for that example. Oh, it's this one here. So basically what I did was Rock Island. I've got a couple things from Rock Island. A couple, two, one, two. But I took two of these and I painted, Dixie quit. That dog barking. I took two of those and made two of these Penn Centrals. Rock Island. I have this F unit Rock Island, which is a Bachmann, a cheaper Bachmann. And then I have, those are Milwaukee Road. I had one more. Oh yeah, just a cheaper Tyco C430 Rock Island. It's on my list of things to get. I want to get the blue and white ones. I just haven't got that far yet. All in all, so far, I think I have like 110 or 115 different locomotives. I got a not Norfolk and Western. I have a Northwestern up there. I have a Pennsylvania GG1. This one you'll get a kick out of. Let me get this down. This is a Tyco. You'd never guess it because they didn't make one. I'm trying to get a better hold on it. Here we go. This is a Tyco C630, Alco C630. I went ahead and put handrails on it. Did the yellow paint for the safeties on the front and rear. Did it, and like I said, did it in Norfolk and Western paint scheme. But this originally was a Chessie System C430 or C630 that came like these Tycos here. I just did a custom paint job on it and made one. It made it not look so cheap. I did that one. And I've got a bunch of other ones I need to paint and fix and do up, but I'm just doing them a little at a time. Right now I'm working on Union Pacific. I got kind of on a Union Pacific, I don't know, run, whatever you want to call it. Tyco GT. See, yes, the Grand Trunk C430. Yeah, I've heard of it. And getting it will be a nightmare because I'm cheap and I will not pay the ridiculous price that people want for those. Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me that. If you check out my TikTok and a couple of and some of my YouTube stuff, I kind of went through the process of what it took to get that thing painted up and done that way. It took me like 2 weeks, I think, on and off messing with it. So set that there. But yeah, and I've got some projects back here too. That's an SD60, I believe, that Conrail. That's a Mantua Tyco, that Rio Grande. I have another Athearn motor or locomotive there that I'm going to put an SD40-2 on. There's another C630 Tyco. There's a Golden Eagle C630 Tyco that's made me mad. Some F units and coming around the mountain, SD24 from Tyco. There's that Walters back there that I don't have the correct parts for to put together. I'm working on a Norfolk Southern over here that I got as a plain Jane Athearn ready to paint. E-units. E-units. I am at a loss. Trying to remember what those are. That's an FP45 there. GP20, that Tyco. What were the E's? Oh, yeah, they're the long ones that look like F units. I've been looking into a few of them. There was a couple I put bids in on but didn't win. Lifelike Go Transit FP40. Yes, I've heard lots of people talk about those. And yeah, I don't have one of them either. Definitely into trying to find the rare stuff and just find a good deal on them. But it's just a matter of finding them. And without a lot of train shows around here, and me having to drive long ways for them, I just got to get lucky and see somebody that's selling one coming across Poshmark, or across eBay or Etsy or whatever. Just kind of stumble across one. And I've stumbled across some good deals, but nothing of that rarity. Um, I'd like to get some of those Australian locomotives. There was one, it was yellow and blue or green and yellow, um, that I saw SMT Mainline had. I'd like to try to find one of them as well. But yeah, eventually what I plan, I've got walls in my house that I got to repaint. And after I get them painted, and there's some drywall patching I got to do. But what I want to do is make me a ton of shelves, and I'm going to make my own. I'm not paying the crazy prices that people want for train shelves, but I'm going to paint some shelves up. And what I want to do is go ahead and start making basically a giant freaking collection, um, and let them all sit up there. And naturally, I'm gonna have to buy some stock and whoever makes canned air so I can keep them all dust free, until I can get plexiglass or something to put over them. But that's kind of my plan, is to be able to put them all up on display, and then maybe do lives like this, where we pick two or three of them to run. If you've ever heard of Powerhouse, you can get some Australian locomotives. You can get it all. Wish they'd stay up. You can get some Australian locomotives for kind of cheap. Right on. Um, is that like in a North America based company, or are they out of Australia? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, I've got here. This one should be on the verge of being dry. I still have vents to do on it and a few other things. Let's see here. That one's done and dry. What I want to do is I want to make a video. Right on, man. I want to make a video, and I think I'm going to have to feed in 2 or 3 controllers to get the power I need. But I want to run my DD35 and my others, and my SD45 and my GP38-2, and I've got a couple other Union Pacific ones I want to add in there as well, and try to run them all together, nose to tail, and maybe put something behind them. But by the time I have all of the Union Pacific stuff together, it's going to be okay. The train started, the train's ended, but here comes the train again. You know what I mean? I'm trying to keep it looks semi-realistic instead of a nose to tail locomotive chasing the tail of your train. But yeah, things are coming along. I've got tons of projects. These are pretty well wrapped up for now, other than the DD35. I got to put rails on. Oh, for sure. Yeah, the old stuff. And actually, that was what I wanted. I forgot. So the oldest thing I own is a Marks, and it's not nothing super special, I don't think. I think they were fairly common. I've seen people have them sale before, but this is a Marks Union Pacific locomotive. It's got the motor that stands up in the rear. I've lubed it up real good, cleaned it up real good, and it runs awesome. It's not real heavy, but that's the oldest one I have. But yeah, I'd love to do some old stuff with some older locomotives and do a running session with them. Absolutely. I want to get some more Southern Pacific stuff and Burlington. I ended up stumbling across the second one I've got there. I had the first one. That one there, I did a ton of detail too, doing handrails and making sure the steps were painted and stuff. I didn't actually do stickers there. I just used a little bitty paintbrush to do the steps. Um, Proto 2000. I have one that I know for sure is a Proto 2000, and I'm missing parts for it. So if we go in here, I've got an onslaught of rolling stock sitting here, right here. This is something I want to put together, but I don't have the proper parts for it. This is the E7. You were talking about e-locomotives. It's another Union Pacific. The motor's there. I'm missing drive lines and wiring and stuff for it to finish it. But I picked this up for $25 on eBay, and I knew it wasn't going to work, but I loved the detail of the body. You know, you've actually got handrails for the doors. The door on the front of the nose opens and closes. I really liked all the detail on it, and I'm just looking for the rest of the parts to throw that dude together. Because everything's there except for the drive lines. If it had a bar on top, it needs the bar to run for the wiring. But otherwise, that's it. I just love the detail of these Proto 2000 locomotives. But yeah, I have that. Passenger, I got a bunch of passenger cars I got to go through. Box cars, well cars. I call them shipping container cars, but well cars. Got some gondolas. Yeah, I just got to do a ton more searching looking for parts. I know that that Walters has Proto now, because Proto, I believe, was Lifelike's line of really nice stuff. And yeah, you can see all of my boxes for different things that I just have stacked in here in case I have to put some away or whatever. Let's see here. I have more boxes of cheap stuff from Model Power. That's a tanker. That's just a map of railways. Yeah, lots more spare boxes. What we got here? Have you ever heard of Triang? They make British engines you can find for under $40. That's another one I haven't heard of. I'm going to start writing things down. Here's a bunch more cars that I've got for projects later on. I got tons of rail car projects I can do. There's more parts. I got parts out the wazoo. Tons of track. I've been accumulating that over time. I've got all of that. And then I got that box of track. The Cato boxes were these well cars. And they stack onto each other. There's 3 to a set. And I do have some videos on TikTok and on YouTube of dragging those around. And I really like those. My sister actually is working on some stuff now. She has a 3D printer, and I've been sending her different things to try. Let me show you what she did. I told her to try to make some shipping containers, and these are almost perfect. I'm going to sand them and paint them, and naturally you don't see the bottoms. I wasn't too worried about that when they're sitting in the well cars. But I'm going to sand these down a little bit so they'll both fit together. Because they are cheap. This was like our first time doing it. And they are just ever so slightly too big. Because they're supposed to be 20-foot containers. So I'm going to try to sand the ends down so I can get them to fit in there. And then that well car will be ready other than putting decals on it. This is an Ever model well car. And I have 2 of these. I painted one yellow and one brown. And I'm going to go ahead and buy the correct decals for them to put on. But yeah, she made these 2 little shipping containers with a 3D printer, and that's the first time she's ever done it. And they didn't turn out too bad. They just need a little bit of paint work and a little bit of sanding. And I'm hoping, excuse me, I can fit them in side by side in my well cars, paint them up, whatever color, and buy the decals online to put on them. And then they're done. Just got I got a few cattle cars, some other box cars. I've got a bunch of other stuff too. I just put a little something together to drag and make some videos with. But yeah, it's a work in progress. I did get me a good controller for DC anyway. I don't have anything that's. I take that back. I've got a couple things that are DCC ready, but they're not. Uh, um, I don't have anything to control them with. It's DCC. I just prefer, honestly, it's so much simpler. And until I would have a layout that's of massive size, um, I don't really see the need for it. I don't mind putting a couple trains together, even starting to pick up some dummies and that to tie into a consist. I don't mind doing that, and then just running them, that way. But trying to think of what else I had going. Oh, I got this Lima here. I have lost the little piece of plastic, but when it showed up, it was broke. It's a Lima FP45 from Burlington Northern, and it works good. It runs great. I just got done washing the shell, so I've got it apart. But right here, there's a piece of plastic that goes in that ties this side rail over to this end here, and I got to find it. It's around here somewhere. I put it in a bin or in a box or in a little container somewhere, and I got to glue that piece back in. And then once I do that, that'll be all good to go. And then this is the body for it. The body's in really, really nice shape. And once that's done, once I get the body on it, I'll just paint the handrails. Put the white safety paint on the side here, because that's all you really can do, other than maybe shooting the bottom of the body with a matte clear coat. You could do that to try to keep it from having that gloss finish and looking kind of cheap. But all of your Burlington Northerns, I did a ton of reading and a ton of looking. They were green, white, and black. There was nothing else. So, like with your Union Pacific, you got the red stripe. Your Conrails were kind of the same way. But they've got black on the bottom, so you got blue, black, and white instead of green. But yeah, these are turning out really nice. I'm pretty excited about them. That back there is for that deal there is for this that I'm working on. I've got decals I'm putting on that. I get most of my decals through K4. They're on eBay, but I had to get the Norfolk Southern stuff through Microscale. And I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of Microscale. They are very, very hard to put on compared to everything else I've done. And I've done that pin central back there. I've done these two pin centrals here. What else did I do? I had some other cuts from other things. Let's see what else I got in here. Maybe I can get a reminder. So I got a bin of photos and stuff, so I have something to go off of. Here's the Microscale stuff, or that's the container anyway. Here it is. Yeah, there's a ton of Norfolks, and you can barely see them. There's a ton of Norfolk Southern stuff on there. It's just, they put it so close together, it's hard to cut out. And then once you get it cut out, it just doesn't come off of the thing, and it doesn't set to the locomotive like you want it to. I got some instructions. Here we go. This is one of the well car deals that came in that I'm not going to be able to use, not for these anyway, because it's not the right ones. But those are some more water slide decals there. But I had one, Norfolk and Western. That was what the other one was. And those were nice ones. That's the ones I did up the other one with. Here we go. And I wanted to do a Conrail eventually too. These are K4 decals. But yeah, I have some stuff for a Conrail too if I want to do one of those in the future. I mean, even if I wanted to do a box car or something, I could. When it comes to doing handrails, I do buy all my stanchions outright, which I just keep them in a little pill bottle. But after I get my stanchions, I order this. This is 0.020 piano wire, and it works really well for making my handrails like I made for the if you get something that ain't got handrails. But yeah, got tons of parts, tons of projects, a couple of them already done for tonight anyway, and we're we're just going to keep on trucking one day at a time. Thanks everybody that came in and watched this evening. I sure appreciate it.